and revenue recognition using relevant Indian accounting standard. Right? And we have covered the in this topic we are going to study the accounting standard 1, presentation of financial statement, then statement of cash flow, then accounting policies, change in accounting estimate, change in accounting estimate, and error, and accounting standard 34, interim financial reporting, revenue from contract with customer. We have covered that accounting standard. So what is accounting standard? What is accounting standards? Accounting standard is a common set of principles and standards and procedure that define the basics of financial accounting policies and practices in our different types of businesses, right? This accounting standard applicable to every type of business, whether it is very small or large. Then we completed Indian accounting standard, right? On the basis of international accounting standard, we are designing Indian accounting standard, that is IAS, and it is designed with the help of ICAI institution and professional bodies and teachers. Mandatory application इसका after 16 अप्रैल से ये कंपलसरी हर सबको फॉलो करना कंपलसरी हो गया है, राइट? देन these for using the accounting standard, they divide the enterprises in 3 levels: level 1 enterprises, level 2 enterprises, and level 3 enterprises. Then first accounting standard is disclosure of accounting policy. As we already covered in the or we can already discuss about the disclosure of policies in first 2 topics, right? कि accounting में अगर क्या policies adopt करते हैं, we have to disclose in a separate note section. So this accounting standard help how to disclose the things in the accounting statement, or which things are compulsory to disclose in the accounting statement if there is any change in the accounting policies. Then next accounting standard is statement of cash flow. This accounting standard is very important because if you are not following the rules and regulations of this accounting standard, there should be a possibility of tampering with your figures or mispresentation of your figures in the financial statement. If you show that different finance amount in the your different amount, or we can say changed amount in your financial statement, that will mislead your investors also. So this accounting standard is very important key how to show our cash flow. In this we covered the operating activities. There are some operating activities and some investing activities, or we can say cash from operating activities, cash from investing activities, and cash from financing activities. यहाँ तक शायद कवर हो गया है अपना ना? ये हुआ था क्या? अरे हो कि नहीं हो लेक्चर में? कहाँ तक? यहाँ तक हुआ था कि यहाँ तक हुआ था? एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ कैश रिसीट्स एंड पेमेंट. ये फॉरेन करेंसी कैश फ्लो हुआ था क्या?
नो मैम.
नो मैम.
यहाँ तक हुआ था शायद, राइट? कैश फ्लोज अराइजिंग फ्रॉम ईच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग एक्टिविटीज. ये चार, हाँ, cash flow arising from the each of the following activities of the financial institution may be prepared on net basis. Cash receipts and cash payment. Cash receipts and cash payment for the acceptance and repayment of the deposit with the fixed maturity date कि ये जो actual में आएगा net amount का उसका cash inflow show करेंगे या outflow होगा वो, the replacement of deposit with and the withdrawal of the deposit from the other financial institution, cash advances, loans made to the customer and repayment of those advances and loans. ये नेट बेसिस पे शो करेंगे, इसका इंटरेस्ट वगैरह अलग से शो होगा. अगर कैश फ्लो हो रहा है फॉरेन करेंसी से, देयर आर मेनी इंडस्ट्रीज हु आर इन्वेस्टिंग देयर मनी और दे हैव अ ओवरसीज ब्रांच, सो they have a different types of transaction, they have a money in foreign currency also. So how to record that foreign currency in our Indian in our account, they show the light on that also. And the exchange rate used for the translation of transaction denominated in the foreign currency should be the rate in effect at the date of cash flows. जब cash flow statement बनाएंगे, at that time what rate is available, whatever is the rate of that translation amount is applicable, or that should be noted in our cash flows. Cash flow of foreign subsidiaries should be translated at the exchange rate prevailing when the cash flow took place. जब cash flow बनाएंगे उसका ही subsidiaries भी हो या फिर foreign exchange कर रहे हो आप उस बारे में भी हो, तो whatever rate at the time of preparing cash flow is applicable. As regard the cash flow of associates, joint venture and subsidiaries where the equity or a cost method is used, the statement of cash flow should be report only cash flows between the investor and investee. The proportionate consolidation is used. The cash flow statement should include the venture shares of a cash flow of investee. Then taxes on income. This is also one of the cash outflow source. तो अगर आप इन्वेस्ट करते हो, राइट, so you have to receive some interest as a income. So cash flow arising from the taxes on income shall be separately disclosed and shall be classified as a cash from operating activity unless they can specially identify with the financing and investing activities. See, interest का कैसे होता है कि you can add in that interest amount in financing activities and also investing activities, but taxes जो paid करते हैं वो हम specifically कहाँ पे include करना चाहिए? Operating activities में. If you are they are saying that this tax is specifically for the financing activities, then only we include that tax in under the cash flow from financing activities. Then investment in subsidiaries, associates and joint venture. अगर आपने वहां पे invest किया है तो कैसे होगा? The when accounting for an investment in associate, joint venture or subsidiary account for by use of the equity or a cost method. There are two methods available कि आप उस पे कौन सा charge करेंगे, equity method है या cost method है. An investor restricts its reporting in the statement of cash flow to the cash flows between himself and the investee, for example, to dividends and advantages. Sorry, advances. If you are paying the dividend or you are giving the advance for any activities, so ये associate को दे रहे हैं आप या फिर आप dividend आपको joint venture से मिल रहा है, subsidiary company का dividend मिल रहा है, that should be separately mentioned. That is investment में आएगा वो cash flow. See, अगर आप ownership change हो रहा है, change in the ownership interest in the subsidiaries and other business, the subsidiaries and other business are paying some ownership interest to us, So the aggregate cash flow arising from the obtaining or losing the control of subsidiaries or other business shall be presented separately and classified as a investing activities. Though you are gaining or losing control, कोई भी केस हो, अगर आप कंट्रोल ले रहे किसी सब्सिडियरी का और आप किसी सब्सिडियरी का कंट्रोल छोड़ रहे तो भी इसको सेपरेटली अंडर इन्वेस्टमेंट एक्टिविटीज पुट करना पड़ेगा कि कितना कंसिडरेशन आपको मिल रहा है। लाइक क्या होता है, सब्सिडियरी अगर किसी का लेते हैं तो यू हैव टू पे सम अमाउंट फॉर द इक्विटी शेयर एंड यू आर परचेसिंग इक्विटी शेयर ऑफ दैट सब्सिडियरी, और किसी के कंपनी का आप अगर परचेस कर रहे हैं तो so that should be come under the invest cash flow from the investing activities. क्या क्या इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं इसमें, देखो, एन एंटिटी शैल डिस्क्लोज, जो भी कर रहा है ये इन एग्रीगेट इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ बोथ ऑब्टेनिंग एंड लूजिंग कंट्रोल ऑफ सब्सिडियरी और अदर बिजनेस ड्यूरिंग द पीरियड ईच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग द टोटल कंसिडरेशन पेड और रिसीव्ड. See, if you are losing the control from the subsidiary is paying to you. So in that case, you are receiving. If you are purchasing some, investing your money in another company as a subsidiary, in that case, you are paying for that amount for the subsidiary. So inflow भी हो सकता है या outflow भी हो सकता है cash का. The portion of the consideration consisting of cash and cash equivalents, उसमें भी कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट का कितना पोर्शन है, पूरा का पूरा अमाउंट ऐसे नहीं होता है कि आप ये शेयर्स भी परचेस करो. सम अमाउंट यू हैव टू पे विद द कैश और कैश इक्विवेलेंट्स का आपको अमाउंट मिलता है. द कॉमर्स स्टूडेंट्स हु आर कंप्लीटेड देयर बीकॉम, इन एसवाई बीकॉम यू हैव दिस सेपरेट स्टेटमेंट लाइक सब्सिडियरीज का था, कौन सा टॉपिक था वो, उसमें सब्सिडियरी एंड सब्सिडियरीज का एक टॉपिक था, उसमें प्रैक्टिकल एग्जाम्पल्स थे उसमें, कि उसमें बाइफरकेशन होता था कि 300 का 300 इक्विटी शेयर्स ले रहे, रिमेनिंग अमाउंट यू पेड बाय कैश पे करते हैं ऐसे. द अमाउंट ऑफ कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट इन द सब्सिडियरीज और अदर बिजनेस ओवर विच कंट्रोल इज ऑब्टेन और लॉस्ट, कितना आप कंट्रोल कर सकते हो अगर आप छोड़ रहे या परचेस कर रहे हो, ये भी सेपरेटली शो होगा अंडर द इन्वेस्टमेंट एक्टिविटीज. द अमाउंट ऑफ द एसेट्स एंड लायबिलिटी अदर देन द कैश और कैश इक्विवेलेंट इन द सब्सिडियरीज or other business over which control is obtained or lost summarized by each major category. जो भी मेजर कैटेगरीज है उसका अलग से होगा. नॉन कैश ट्रांजैक्शन का अगर कर रहे हो तो investing and financing transactions that do not require the use of cash or a cash equivalent shall be excluded from the statement of cash flow, because there is no inflow and no outflow. There is only a transfer of what we can say ownership from one person to another person. Such transactions shall be disclosed elsewhere in the financial statement in a way that provides all the relevant information about these investing and financing activities. Examples क्या है देखो, the acquisition of assets either by assuming directly related liabilities or by means of finance lease. अगर आप finance lease करते हो तो उसमें directly आपका amount कुछ नहीं जाता है. The acquisition of entity by means of equity issue, इक्विटी सिर्फ ट्रांसफर हो रहे. इफ आई एम सब्सिडियरी, आई ट्रांसफरिंग माई शेयर टू माई होल्डिंग कंपनीज, राइट, ये सिर्फ ट्रांसफर हो रहा है. द कन्वर्जन ऑफ डेब्ट टू इक्विटी, डेब्ट टू इक्विटी हो रहा है, अमाउंट का कुछ इधर से उधर नहीं जा रहा है, सिर्फ उसका जो डॉक्यूमेंट का टाइटल है वो चेंज हो रहा है. दैट इज नॉन कैश ट्रांजैक्शंस. द एग्रीगेट कैश फ्लो relating to acquisition and disposal of the subsidiaries and other business units should be presented separately. वो separately show करना चाहिए and classify as a investing activities with the specific additional disclosure. You adding all these activities under the investing activities with the specific additional disclosure. It means we have to prepare a footnote for that. If there is any item like this, we have to prepare a separate footnote. The aggregate cash paid or cash received as a consideration should be reported net of cash and cash equivalents required or disposed of. Cash flow from investing and financing activities should be reported gross. by major class of cash receipts and major class of cash payment except the following cases which may be reported as a need buys. वो examples है इसका कि receipts and payment of demand deposits by bank and receipt collection on behalf of, ये बैंक से अगर हम करते हैं तो डायरेक्टली बैंक ने अगर हमें डिमांड किया है तो ये उसको कैश फ्लो में इंक्लूड नहीं होता है. Cash flow from the investing and financing activities should be reported gross by major class. वो तो हमने अभी कवर किया on the net basis. Cash and payment from item in which the turnover is quick, the amount are large and the maturities are short, generally less than 3 months. Example क्या है उसका? Charges and collection from the credit card customer. उसके लिए वो सेपरेट इशू करने की जरूरत नहीं है. कैश रिसीट्स एंड पेमेंट्स रिलेटिंग टू अ डिपॉजिट बाय फाइनेंसिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन, कैश एडवांसेस एंड लोन्स मेड टू कस्टमर एंड रीपेमेंट देयरऑफ. अगर ये रीपेमेंट किया है उसके लिए सेपरेटली डिस्कस करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Investing and financing activity which do not require the cash should be from the statement of cash flow, but they should be separately disclosed elsewhere. ये तो हमने कवर किया, राइट? अभी ये आ गया. नेक्स्ट accounting standard is Indian Accounting Standard 8, accounting policies, changes in estimate and errors. These accounting standards is, we have studied that the three types of they have three elements. First is accounting policies, then change in accounting estimates, and if there is errors in some statements. So accounting policies is a set of different kinds of used by the organization. The different types of अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड दे आर यूज कलेक्टिवली कि कौन सा अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड यूज करना है. इफ आई एम यूजिंग डेप्रिसिएशन में भी 2-3 क्लॉजेस है, उसमें कौन सा क्लॉज हम यूज कर रहे हैं. दैट इफ आई सिलेक्ट नंबर 1 क्लॉज or I can select I can charge a depreciation on written down value method. So this is policy I designed for my organization. और मेरा अगर वो वर्क इन प्रोसेस निकालना है उसके लिए कौन सा कॉस्ट हम एस्टिमेट कर रहे हैं. हम डेटर्स का कॉस्ट एस्टिमेट कर रहे हैं या 50% ऑफ टोटल कॉस्ट कंसीडर कर रहे हैं. ऑल दीज कलेक्टिवली कॉल्ड एज अ अकाउंटिंग पॉलिसी फॉर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. एंड नेक्स्ट क्या पार्ट है? चेंज इन अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट. अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट इज अ स्मॉल एक्सपेंसेस, लाइक हम बैड डेब्ट्स के लिए कितना साइड में रख रहे हैं, या फिर हाँ, बैड डेब्ट्स इज अ मेजर एग्जांपल ऑफ दैट. अकाउंटिंग चार्जेस का इंटरेस्ट कितना पे करना है, ये हम फुल ईयर का एस्टिमेट करते हैं. एंड एरर्स इज प्रेजेंटेशन एरर हो सकता है, या फिर एंट्री का एरर हो सकता है, या फिर उसको एंट्री करेक्ट किया है, प्रेजेंट रॉन्ग किया है. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज अ एरर. द ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ दिस स्टैंडर्ड इज टू प्रिस्क्राइब द criteria for selecting and changing accounting policies together with the accounting treatment and disclosure of change in accounting policies, change in accounting estimate and correction of errors. की correction of errors के लिए this accounting standard will help us. The standard is intended to enhance the relevance and reliability of an entity's financial statement and the comparability of those financial statement over a time with the financial statement of other entities. See, this accounting standard क्यों किया है? The accounting standard intended to enhance. ये enhance करेगा क्या? Relevance and reliability of the entity's financial statement. If we are using the accounting policies constantly, that shows that our accounting statement is relevant and reliable for our investors. Then the comparability of those financial statement over a time and with the financial statement of other entities, like A company का B company से compare करेंगे हम financial statement. And the disclosure requirement of accounting policy except those change in the accounting policy as a set out in Indian Accounting Standard 1 presentation of financial statement. ये पहले AS presentation of financial statement में अगर कोई सेट है उसके अकॉर्डिंगली ये वर्क करता है. इसका स्कोप क्या है दिस अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड का? दिस स्टैंडर्ड शैल बी अप्लाइड in selecting and applying the accounting policies and accounting for change in accounting policies, change in accounting estimate and correction of prior period errors. अगर कोई मुझे लास्ट ईयर का मुझे एरर हुआ है तो मुझे अभी पता चला, इफ आई वांट टू करेक्ट दैट एरर, व्हाट इज द प्रोसीजर, ये भी हमें हेल्प करेगा. द टैक्स इफेक्ट ऑफ द करेक्शन ऑफ प्रायर एरर. एरर ऐसा होता है कि मैंने अगर डेप्रिसिएशन रॉन्ग कैलकुलेशन किया है, राइट, दिस इज माय एरर. ये मुझे अभी समझ में आया कि ये जो परसेंटेज है 20,000 डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करना था, बट आई एम चार्जिंग 30,000, तो मैंने 10,000 एक्स्ट्रा कर दिया. दैट इज माय एरर. सो इफ आई वांट टू करेक्ट दैट एरर, तो दैट एरर्स इफेक्ट ऑन एवरीथिंग, कि अभी ये डेप्रिसिएशन का जो एरर होता है मेरा, तो दैट एरर शोज माय प्रॉफिट रॉन्ग, शोज माय टैक्स रॉन्ग. सो अगर ये मुझे करना है करेक्ट, राइट, कि ये टैक्स इफेक्ट में भी करेक्ट करना पड़ेगा वो प्रायर पीरियड का, जब जिस ईयर में वो एरर हुआ है उसका, एंड retrospective adjustment made to apply changes in accounting policy are accounted for and disclosed in accordance with the accounting standard 12 and income taxes. Okay, so ये accounting standard 12 के हिसाब से भी हेल्प करेगा. अभी इसके अंदर ना देर आर सम डेफिनेशन, दे आर क्लियरली मेंशन द डेफिनेशंस ऑफ फॉर सम आइटम्स. द फॉलोइंग आइटम्स आर यूज्ड इन द स्टैंडर्ड्स विद द मीनिंग specified. The accounting policies are specific principles. Specific principles they are using basis contraventions, rules and practices applied by an entity in preparing and presenting financial statement. Accounting policies are specific principles. Like I say, they are using some principle or they are providing some basis, contravention and rules कि क्या होगा अगर नहीं follow करते हैं तो, and practices applied by the entity in preparing financial statement. Number second, a change in accounting estimate. What type of entries or what type of transaction they are included change in accounting estimate. Accounting estimate is an adjustment. So what is accounting estimate? It is an adjustment of carrying amount of an assets or liabilities. हेलो,
Yes.
आवाज येतो ना?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
मैडम.
क्लियर आ रहा है ना?
यस मैम.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. आ रहा है.
So a change in accounting estimate is an adjustment of the carrying amount of assets or liability, or the amount of periodic consumptions of an assets that results from the assessment of the present status of and the expected future benefit and obligation associated with the assets and liabilities. The example of this estimation I told you, like bad debts hota hai, depreciation hota hai, interest, taxes. Change in the accounting estimates results from new formation or a new development and accordingly are not correction of errors. See, अगर मेरा टैक्स पॉलिसी है तो अचानक से गवर्नमेंट ने टैक्स का रूल्स चेंज कर दी तो क्या होगा, मेरा एस्टिमेशन मेरा चेंज हो जाएगा, बट दैट इज नॉट कॉल्ड एज अ एरर. ओके, और दैट शुड नॉट बी करेक्टेड. वो जो पॉलिसी चेंज होगा अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट वो एस्टिमेशन भी चेंज होगा. ये थर्ड डेफिनेशन है अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड एएस एज द स्टैंडर्ड प्रिस्क्राइब्ड अंडर सेक्शन 211 3 subsection 3 clause 3 of the Companies Act 1956. the material omission or misstatement of the item. This is related to a mistakes. Okay, so if they are saying there is a material omission or misstatement of items are material if they could individually or collectively influence the economic decision that user make on the basis of financial statement. राइट अगर ये इन्फ्लुएंस हो रहा है वो बिग अमाउंट है तो ही दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ मटेरियल एंड मटेरियल ओमिशन और अ मिसस्टेटमेंट. Materiality depends upon the size and nature of misstatement judged in the surroundings or nature of the items or the combination of both. Combination of factors. अभी ये देखो prior period errors. Errors के लिए what important is the error is for current year or error is for prior period error, that is previous year's errors. Prior period error are omission from and misstatement in the entity's financial statement for one or more period arising from a failure to use or misuse of the reliable information that was available when financial statement for those period were provided for issued and could reasonably be expected to have been obtained and taken into account in the preparation and presentation of those financial statements. Such error include the effects of mathematical mistakes, mistakes in applying accounting policies, oversight or misinterpretation of the facts and frauds. These types of error is included in the, they should be checked for the prior period error also. Okay, then retrospective application. 7th number का है. Application is the applying a new accounting policy through transaction over an event and the condition as if the policy had always been applied. कि ये retrospective का meaning कोई बताएगा क्या होता है? किसको पता है? ठीक है, ये रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इज कि हमने अगर कोई प्रीवियस में कोई एरर किया है तो व्हाट इज द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ देयर दैट एरर टिल द करंट डेट. ये हम क्रॉस चेक करेंगे रिवर्स जाके कि उसको एनालिसिस करेंगे कि क्या एक्चुअल में हुआ था. राइट, impracticable applying a requirement. Next is impracticable applying a requirement is impracticable when the entity cannot apply it after making every reasonable efforts to do so. For a particular prior period, it is impracticable to apply a change in accounting policy retrospectively or to make a retrospective restatement to correct an error. अगर ऐसे होता है कि अगर ये error तो मुझे समझ में आया, I am going to check the retrospective effect in prior period, right? But there is no possibility, अगर ये change हो ही नहीं सकता है, चेंज नहीं कर सकते. ऐसा भी सिचुएशन आएगा कि कुछ स्टेटमेंट चेंज हो गए, कुछ स्टेटमेंट तो हुए कि बेस्ट ट्राई कर दिया पर वो कहाँ पे भी चेंज होने का पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं है, लीगली वो चेंज नहीं हो सकता है. देन the effect of the retrospective application or a retrospective restatement are not determinable. वो determine नहीं कर सकते हम. The retrospective application or restatement requires the assumption about what management intent should be in that period. कि वो management ने क्यों किया है, उसका intention क्या था, वो cross check करेंगे. अभी ये है accounting policies, right? इसके लिए ना हम एक छोटा सा वीडियो देखते हैं ये जो थियोरेटिकल पार्ट है ना, वो वीडियो में अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया है। आई जस्ट गॉट वन वीडियो फॉर यू, कि यूट्यूब से ही लिया है मैंने। वो बहुत अच्छा उन्होंने प्रेजेंटेशन किया है उसमें, ऑल दिस अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड का। आवाज आ रहा है मेरा? आवाज है तो वीडियो सा?
यस अमन, वीडियो का आवाज नहीं आ रहा है।
वीडियो का नहीं आ रहा है? क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? अब आ रहा है आवाज वीडियो का?
नो मैम।
आवाज ही नहीं आ रहा है वीडियो का?
नो मैम।
क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? अरे यार,
have a lot of choice. So normally speaking, there is a limitation on the
just
options
wait, I am
available,
checking.
and the
Okay,
entity has to choose from them as to which accounting policy should be used. The major portion of concern that arises for the entities is base standard for a lot of other standards. So IAS 8 tells you how do you choose accounting policy for example, a tangible non-current asset. So this acts like a generic base standard on the basis of which you can choose accounting policies in different standards. So here we will see how IAS 8 guides us to choose accounting policies. It says that the first criteria for
video
selection of an
audible?
accounting policy is that its application is determined by the relevant standard.
Yes ma'am.
Now this portion is very important. This step number 1 tells us that the entities have the choice only with respect to the choices available in the standard. For example, previously IAS 2 used to provide option to choose between FIFO method, LIFO method and AFCO method. So 3 accounting policies were available, out of which the entities had to choose one accounting policy. Later on, LIFO method was made obsolete. So now the entities have a choice between only 2 options. They can either go for FIFO option or they can go for AFCO option. So what the relevant standard tells is the choices that are available, and as per IAS 8, the entity cannot go beyond those choices in choosing a particular accounting policy. Another example of this is with respect to IAS 16 depreciation. Previously, under IAS 16, entities had a choice either to use pro rata method of depreciation or full year charge in the year of purchase and none in the year of disposal. When IAS 16 changed, it was made a compulsion that all entities should use pro rata method. So now with respect to depreciation, the entities do not have a choice in accounting policy. They compulsorily have to use pro rata method. So step number 1, the accounting policy is determined by the relevant standard. Once you have seen what the choices are available in standard, now how do you choose which policy should you go for? So for example, under IAS 2, an entity now has to choose between FIFO method and AFCO method. Here the standard says, in the absence of an IFRS or when more than one choice is available in the standard, judgment is exercised in applying accounting policy that results in information that is relevant and reliable. These two are the keywords over here. So the standard says, IAS 8 says, that when you are choosing between accounting policies within a standard, or you have to choose accounting policy for a particular transaction for which the standard does not policy should be chosen with respect to these 2 points, that information presented as a result of that choice of accounting policy should provide more relevant and reliable information to the users. Once both of these are used for the selection of accounting policies, then comes this next point of application, which says that an entity shall select and apply its accounting policies consistently for similar transactions. So if the company has chosen FIFO method, then complete range of inventory should be valued as per FIFO method. Okay. Then another example of it is when the companies have to choose between cost model and revaluation model under IAS 16. So cost model and revaluation model. As you have seen in IAS 16, the criteria for IAS 16 says that if you have shifted your properties to revaluation model, so basically if you decide to revalue one building, you have to revalue all the buildings of the business. If you have decided to revalue one motor vehicle, then you have to revalue all the assets in that particular class of assets, which means that you have to revalue all the motor vehicles. This is as per the criteria of IAS 8 that we have just covered over here. So it says that an entity shall select and apply its accounting policies consistently for similar transactions. Once an entity has chosen an accounting policy, a situation may arise subsequently in which the entity wants to change the accounting policy previously chosen. IAS 8 says that a change is only permitted if either one of these 2 conditions is met. So it's not that entities have an open choice to change the accounting policy chosen whenever they want. No, there are specific guidelines available as to under which situations the accounting policies can be changed. So the standard says that a change is permitted if, number 1, it is required by a standard. So either a new standard is introduced or there is a revision in the standard. Just like I gave you the example previously, in IAS 2, previously there were 3 choices available under the valuation of inventory: LIFO, FIFO and AFO. When the revision in IAS 2 took place, LIFO was no longer an option available as an option. Under this case, all the entities which were using LIFO method compulsorily had to change their accounting policy. Similarly, in case of depreciation, when IAS 16 was revised, it was a compulsion that all entities should use pro rata method. So if previously an entity was using full year charge in the year of purchase and none in the year of disposal, now they no longer had a choice and had to switch to the pro rata method. So if there is a change, or if there is a new standard introduced, as we will study subsequently, for example, financial instruments, revenue, leases. So if a new standard is introduced, then also the accounting policy has to be changed as per the new standard. This is a compulsory change. So this is a compulsory change. The other option, as a result of which an accounting policy can be changed, is called a voluntary change. It says that accounting policy can be changed if the change results in financial statements providing relevant and more reliable information. So, accounting policy change under the choices available within the standard is also only allowed if the change will provide a more relevant and more reliable financial information. So, the entities cannot keep on switching between different accounting policies allowed by a standard. For example, an entity cannot keep on moving between FIFO method and AFO method and say, okay, in 1 year we are going to use AFO method, in the other year we are going to shift to FIFO method. No, that's not allowed. IAS 8 says a change within the options provided by the standard is also only allowed if the change provides a more relevant and more reliable information. In the past, examiner at times has confused the students by saying, I am going to change the accounting policy because my competitors use this accounting policy, so my statements will be more consistent with them. Or I am going to change an accounting policy because as a result of it, the profit of my current year will improve. These are not valid justifications for changing accounting policies. So accounting policy change is only allowed if the information is more relevant and more reliable. So if you're changing your model, previously you were valuing inventory or you were keeping inventory as per first in first out basis. Now you're using a more average costing method approach. So if the information presented is going to be more relevant, reliable and better for the users, only then an accounting policy change is allowed. Such changes within the standards, within the choices available in standard are called voluntary changes. In your exam question also, you have to identify if a change is mentioned, whether it is as per these 2 points or not. If it is as per these 2 points, then it is fine. If it is not, you have to immediately highlight that this is not as per the policies allowed by IAS 8. In case a change falls within the scope of the permitted treatments under IAS 8, the next step is that how do you account for these changes? So in case of changes in accounting policies, normally speaking, specific transitional provisions are available. What do we mean by transitional provision? Transition means change. Provision means the treatment that is allowed in times of such changes. So IAS 8 says that when standards change, specifically when a new standard is introduced, normally speaking, certain facilitations are available as per the rules of those standards as to how the change should be applied. So when making such changes, those transitional provisions should be kept in mind and the changes should be accounted for accordingly. If the transitional provision is not available, normally this happens when the company is making the change voluntarily and it is not a compulsion by the standard, then the change has to be applied retrospectively. Now this is a very important word of this standard, that A, choose the policies with respect to the choices in standard. If you are making a change subsequently, then the change should be applied retrospectively. What do we mean by retrospective application? The word retrospective means that the change should be made from the past. What do we mean by the change should be made with respect to past? This means that the change should be made in a way as if we were. Here, as you can see, retrospective presented. So in simple words, we say that normally speaking, retrospective application is made against opening balance of retained earnings. Why? Because if there is a change in depreciation, any kind of expense or income, all the previous expenses or incomes have their balance in the retained earnings. The concept of adjusting against opening balance means that the change relates to the past. So the standard says that before you start doing the current year's working, you first take the opening balance and make the relevant adjustments against that opening balance. Once you have the restated, corrected opening balance, now you start the current year's workings. Secondly, retrospective application means that the other comparative amounts disclosed for each prior periods presented as if the new accounting policy had always been applied. As I was telling you, retrospective application means that we show to our workings that it's not the first year that we are applying this policy. We've been doing this since forever, since the time this transaction took place for the first time. Okay, so you change the opening balance of the relevant component of equity from the prior period presented, and then you correct all the figures related to this. Please keep in mind that these changes are also made through a double entry. So if wrong depreciation was applied previously, one end will be adjusted against retained earnings, the other might be adjusted against the value of asset. Retained earnings and the other might be adjusted against the value of assets. So both ends have to be corrected as if the policy had always been applicable in the past also. And by retrospective, we also mean that you do not only correct the current year balances, rather you also correct the comparative amounts disclosed. As you know, in the final accounts that we present in our annual report, not just current year balances are mentioned, rather previous amounts, the comparative financial statements are also presented. IAS 8 says whatever change you make, you don't only make it in the current year, rather you make it in the comparative figures also, as if the new accounting policy had always been applied. This is all with accounting policies, which was the most major part of this standard. Just a quick revision. Step number 1, accounting policy is something more fixed, more rigid as per the rules of the standard. So you don't have a lot of flexibility in choosing an accounting policy or changing it. So the standard says that you choose an accounting policy with respect to the choices available in the standard. If you subsequently decide to change the accounting policy, it should be either as per the requirement of standard, or any voluntary change should only be made if the change will result in presentation of a more relevant and reliable information. Otherwise, the change in accounting policy is not allowed. If the change in accounting policy falls under the allowed treatment of IAS 8, then such changes should be applied retrospectively. Retrospectively means that the change should be applied as if the new accounting policy had always been in place, and this should be done by correcting all the relevant figures. Normally speaking, if the relevant figures are related to expense or income, the correction would be made against the opening balance of retained earnings. The other side of double entry will be passed with respect to the item which resulted in the change. So it can be a non-current asset, it can be inventory, it can be a financial instrument, it can be any other item. Then the second part of this standard is change in accounting estimate. So as the name of the standard also says, it deals with accounting policies, then changes in accounting estimates. So the second portion is with respect to estimates available. Now, as a word also, you can see policy seems something more rigid as compared to estimate. The word estimate in itself reflects that we are not sure about a certain data, so we had made an estimate of it. Here the standard says that once you choose or you make an estimate, there is always a chance that there will be a change in that estimate. What do we mean by a change in accounting estimate? First of all, let's see the definition. A change in accounting estimate is an adjustment of the carrying amount of an asset or liability or related expense resulting from reassessing the expected future benefits and obligations associated with that asset or liability. So in case of estimate, accounting estimate, it is something that we had predicted, and there is always a chance that our prediction will not be exactly the same as reality. So the standard says wherever you make estimates, you need to reassess them maybe at every reporting date to see whether your estimate was correct or not. If there is a change, you need to adjust it. But here, the option of change is more flexible. Why? Because in the first place also, you had made an estimate. In case of estimates, since, as I mentioned, the adjustment is more flexible. Why? Because in the first place also, it was not a policy, it was an estimate made. So the standard says that the estimate change should be recognized prospectively. Very common examples of accounting estimates that we make in IAS 16 are when we estimate the residual value of an asset. So basically we predict what will be the value of asset at the end of its useful life. Useful life itself is an estimate. So thinking that I will be able to use this particular asset for the next 10 years or for the next 5 years is an estimate. It might be more than 5 years, it might be less than 5 years. So the standard says that where we don't have the exact information, we cannot just avoid recording that transaction. Rather, we calculate the estimate related to that particular item. When you have that estimate and subsequently you reassess it and a change takes place, then you account for that change prospectively. Please notice the difference in terms. Change in accounting policy was applied retrospectively. So you had to correct your treatment of past also, and then future treatment would have automatically been corrected. Here, prospectively change means that whatever you have done in the past, you just leave it the way it was. And you change your future working now. So you change the accounting treatment prospectively. Here it says that recognize the change prospectively by including in profit or loss in the period of change if the change affects the current period only, and the period of change and future period if the change affects both. So if we previously thought that the useful life of our car was 10 years, after 6 years, technically 4 years should have been remaining. But we realized that after 6 years, we will at the maximum will be able to use this car for only 2 more years. So now the standard says that the useful life of that asset should be considered 8 years. The revised depreciation should be calculated for current year and the upcoming 2 years. So in case the change affects current year only, you make it in the current year. If it affects future years also, you apply the change in the future periods also. Under no circumstances, you adjust anything or correct any of the previous working that you have already done. If a change affects assets and liabilities or equity, it is adjusted or it is recognized by adjusting the carrying amount of the related item in the period of change. The example that I have just given you with respect to depreciation also, as you know, carrying value of an asset is calculated as cost less accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation basically means all the past depreciation and current year's depreciation. So the standard says if there is a change in accounting estimate, as a result of which your related asset or liability also changes, then you have to adjust the carrying amounts of those assets and liabilities also. A very common example of changes in accounting estimates with respect to liabilities is the accounting treatment of provisions in IAS 37. You will study it in detail in IAS 37. This was all the changes in accounting estimates. Now the last part of this standard is related to errors. The step number 1 is to identify what do we mean by errors. Do we mean errors made by mistake, or are we talking about intentional errors which mean fraud? IAS 8 says this treatment defined covers both types of errors. So if you have detected a fraud in your business, or if there was an unintentional error made in the accounting treatments, both will be treated in the same way. So the step number 1 is the definition of prior period errors. What do we mean by prior period errors? These are the omissions or misstatements in the financial statements for one or more prior periods arising from a failure to use of reliable information that was available when the financial statements were authorized for issue and could have been obtained and taken into account in the preparation and presentation of the financial statements. So for example, if a wrong accounting policy was being used, or that will be treated under changes in accounting policy as well. But for example, there was a fraud happening in our business in the previous years, and we were unable to identify them when we were making our financial statements for that particular year, then the standard says that these are your prior period errors. If there was a wrong accounting treatment also, which could have been identified at the time of making the financial statements, they are also called prior period errors. So the standard says that these are the errors that could have been rectified timely, but they were not, and they have been identified in the current year. It could have been an unintentional error, or it could have been a fraud that was happening in your business and you were unable to identify it. Another definition that we will use in a few minutes is materiality. Another word that we are going to use in a few minutes is materiality. What do we mean by materiality? Omissions or misstatements of items that could influence the economic decisions of users. So material items basically mean they are that important items that a change or a misstatement in them can affect the decision making of users. They may invest in your business, they may not invest in your business, or any other items that may affect the decision making of the users. So if an item is that important that it can change the decision making of users, its omission or misstatement results that there is a material impact on our financial statements. In case of errors, how do we account for them is once again identified by IAS 8. So IAS 8 says that in case of errors, correct material prior period errors. See the word material? Material prior period errors should be corrected retrospectively. We studied this word a few minutes ago when we were discussing changes in accounting policies. This is exactly the same accounting treatment, retrospectively, the same treatment that we discussed in changes in accounting policies that is applicable over here also, which means that retrospective adjustment says that you do not only correct the current year's financial statements, rather you correct the previous figures also, or the comparative figures also, in a way as if this error had never happened. So correct material prior period errors retrospectively in the first set of financial statements authorized for issue after the discovery. So the correction should be made immediately. You do not wait for any more years to pass. And what do we mean by retrospectively? The correction should be made by restating the comparative amounts for the previous periods. If error occurred between the earliest prior period presented, then restating the opening balances of assets, liabilities, and equity for the earliest period presented. So for example, if you have presented the financial statement of the current year and the previous year, if you correct the previous year's balances, opening balances of previous years, then automatically their closing balances will be correct, automatically current year's opening balances will be correct, and therefore so on and so forth, all information will become correct. So the standard says that the errors should also be corrected retrospectively. This is all with IAS 8. Now let's solve a past exam question to apply the knowledge that we have just covered. In December 2014, we had this question in OTs, section A of the exam. Which of the following
So समझला video? Are you getting this video? This is all about accounting standard 8. So what is accounting standard 8? काय पाहिलं? What are you understand from this video? What is important point of that accounting policy, accounting standard 8? एक point बताओ, चलो. Is anyone there in the lecture? So what we understand from the accounting standard 8 is we have to very carefully select the accounting policies for our business. Though it is not possible to what we can say change over a period of time. It should be adopted for a very long period of time. If we change our accounting policies, or accounting policies in each year, we have to correct that treatment for that specific item is for the previous year also, and sometimes the change is not possible, so that should be carry forward from the current year. Okay, so this today we covered the accounting standard 8. Okay, in next session we covered the next accounting standard. The next accounting standard is, I think, 134 है शायद. So today अभी तो 7 हो गए, 7 बजे, तो you can leave the meeting. Have a nice time. चलो by next session को करते cover next accounting standards. Okay. Have a nice time. चलो leave कर सकते हैं आप.